Payday finally hits, and for a moment you feel relieved. But a week later, your bank account is nearly empty again, and you're left wondering where your money went. This used to be me every single month. And the crazy part is, even though I worked in accounting and finance, I still ended up £27,000 in debt. Not because I didn't earn enough, but because I didn't have a system. Once I fixed that, everything changed. I paid off my debt and saved £50,000 without earning six figures. So in this video, I'm walking you through the exact payday routine that helped me go from £27,000 in debt to saving over £50,000. And I'll show you the actual budget breakdown behind it. Let's get into it. Step 1, get clear on your financial foundation. As soon as payday hits, the first thing I do before I touch a single penny is I look at one number, my financial foundation. This is simply the amount of money I need to cover my essential expenses, so things like rent, food, transport, utilities, the costs that keep my life running. For years, I ignored this number. I would get paid and think, great, I'm up, and just start spending. But what I should have done is prioritize covering my foundation first, then spend whatever was left. Think about it like a house. If the foundation isn't solid, then the whole thing collapses, and your finances work in exactly the same way. Once I calculated my real foundation, everything changed, because now I knew exactly how much I needed to survive and how much I actually had left to work with. To calculate your financial foundation, look at your last 3 to 6 months of bank statements and total up your essentials. You can do it using an app, a pen and paper, a spreadsheet, whatever works for you. I have a free budget template you can use. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below, and you can grab a copy completely for free. Now, you want to keep this number as low as possible. This is what actually helped me save £50,000 without earning a huge income. Ideally, it should be 50% of your income, but if it's more than that, don't stress. Just look at ways to start trimming the big three, as housing, food, and transport. So can you move to a cheaper area or negotiate your rent? Can you find ways to reduce your transport costs? Or can you find ways to save money on groceries by shopping at cheaper grocery stores or cooking more at home? Because keeping this number low isn't just about saving money, it's about buying yourself freedom and options. And that's what wealth really is. Now, once I had this number, I automated everything. So my bills were paid automatically and I had money set aside for food and transport. But even once I fixed my foundation, I still had one big problem. Life kept knocking me back financially, and every time something unexpected happened, I would end up back in debt. Step 2, build a peace of mind fund. Now, once my foundation was solid, the next thing I prioritized was building a small safety buffer. I call this my peace of mind fund because life will always happen. Your car might break down, your boiler might need repairs, something unexpected will happen. And if you don't have savings, those moments can throw you straight into debt. And I learned this lesson the hard way. So a few years ago, my car broke down. I was already in debt and I had absolutely no savings. So I had to call a friend just to ask if they could lend me the money to fix it. And I remember thinking, how am I earning a decent income but still this fragile financially? That moment was a huge wake-up call for me. So now, every payday, money goes towards building that fund, even if it's small. Because having even £1,000 in savings changes how secure you feel with money. And here's the identity shift. Every pound you save isn't just money. It's a receipt that says, I can handle whatever life throws at me. The easiest way to do this is to automate it into a high-interest savings account. Let technology do the work for you. But once I built that small buffer, I could finally focus on the thing that had been hanging over me for years. Step 3, tackle high-interest debt. Debt was one of the biggest reasons I felt stuck financially, because my money was constantly working against me. I had credit card debt and payday loans were the worst. For 2 years, I felt like I was constantly trying to catch up. But things started changing when I chose a clear repayment strategy. Now, there are 2 common approaches. There's a snowball method, which is where you focus on paying off the debt with the smallest balance first. This gives you momentum. Or you can use the avalanche method, which is where you focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first. This saves you money over the long run and makes the most sense financially because you avoid wasting money on interest payments. Both work, but at the time I went with the avalanche method because it gave me quick wins and built momentum. And that momentum really matters because when you start seeing balances disappear, that progress becomes addictive. And eventually, that pressure that was hanging over your head every payday finally starts to disappear. Now, most financial advice will tell you to just focus on paying off your high interest debt first, but I disagree. I actually think you should build your safety buffer first, like we discussed in step 2, or do both at the same time, because having that safety net stops you from falling back into debt if anything unexpected happens. Now, if you want to learn more about this, check out my video here where I'll walk through it in a lot more detail. Now, to give you a real example, here's what my budget looked like at the time. My income was £2,000, £1,400 went to essential expenses, £400 went to debt and saving, and £200 went towards fun spending. That was the budget split that helped me get out of debt. But once that debt was gone, I made one important change to that system that helps me build up my savings really fast. And I'll show you exactly what that change was in just a second. But next, we'll go over the step that most people completely miss. Step 4, budget for fun. I always budget for fun. And to be honest, I think that's one of the main reasons my system actually worked, because I don't believe financial progress should feel like punishment. When I was in the trenches paying off my debt, I gave myself about £200 a month to spend on things I enjoy. This included things like going out for dinner, booking a show, getting my nails done. It wasn't a lot, but it meant that I never felt completely restricted. Giving yourself a fixed monthly allowance does two important things. One, it forces you to become a smart spender, and two, it gives you freedom without guilt. You can give yourself a fixed allowance like I did, or you can allocate about 10% of your budget towards fun spending. Now, one trick to make this super easy is to move your fun money into a separate account. That way, once it's gone, it's gone. And that balance is what makes this system sustainable, because if your financial plan feels miserable, you probably won't stick to it. Consistency and balance always beat perfection. Step 5, put your money to work. Once I had a buffer and my debt was under control, I moved on to the next step, investing. This is where your money finally starts working for you. The first place I always suggest starting is with your workplace pension, especially if your employer contributes, because this is essentially free money. After that, you can start investing in the stock market. And I know it can feel intimidating. Trust me, I've been there. I delayed investing for years and kept saving because I was so scared of losing money. But I promise you, it's a lot more simpler than people think. To get started, open a tax advantage account, which is a stocks and shares ISA if you're in the UK, or a Roth IRA if you're in the US. Then focus on global index funds. They're diversified, simple, low cost, and perfect for beginners. Even if you start small with £50 or £100 a month, trust me, it adds up over time. And platforms like Trading 212 even let you invest in fractional shares. Now, one tip I will give is to choose an amount you could afford monthly and stick to it, because consistency is super important. I started with £250 a month because that's all I could afford at the time. And over time, I built a 5-figure portfolio with very little effort. At first, it feels slow, but eventually those small amounts start compounding. Think of it like planting seeds. At first, it seems like nothing is happening, but eventually that garden starts growing on its own. Here's what helps me build my savings. Once my debt was gone and my finances were stable, my focus shifted from surviving to building wealth. The two biggest things that helped me save my first £50,000 were actually quite simple. First, I kept my essential expenses as low as possible. So that financial foundation we discussed in step 1, it stayed the same. Because the lower your fixed costs are, the more flexibility you have to save and invest. But the second change made an even bigger difference. I focused on increasing my income. So once my spending was under control, I looked at the other side of the equation. Eventually, I switched to contracting, which significantly increased my income and accelerated my savings. Because sometimes the problem isn't spending, it's income. And it's often easier to add £200 of income than it is to cut £200 from your budget. So for you, increasing your income might look like asking for a raise, starting a side hustle, or even selling unwanted items on platforms like eBay or Vinted. That's actually one of the things I did as well. I sold my unwanted clothes and shoes on eBay, and I put all that extra money into my savings. Once my income increased and my expenses stayed low, I was able to build up my savings much faster. From there, the next goal was to build up my full emergency fund. So to do that, take your financial foundation, which we calculated in step 1, and multiply it by 3 to 6 months. That's the level of security where you know you'd still be okay if your income was to stop temporarily. And once that safety net is in place, you can focus on bigger long-term goals like investing more, diversifying your portfolio, or saving up for things like property. But none of that works unless the core payday routine is solid first, because structure always comes before scale. This payday routine took me from living paycheck to paycheck to building real financial independence. And the most important part is this: I didn't do it by earning a 6-figure income. I did it by building systems that worked with my real income and life. If you earn a normal income and still feel like your money keeps disappearing, you're not behind. You just need structure. And that's exactly what this channel is about. Practical systems to help you build wealth on a normal salary. So if you want to join me on that journey, give this video a like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you've ever wondered why your money disappears so quickly after payday, watch this video next where I break down the habits that keep people stuck in the paycheck cycle. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.